All right, you guys, we have $1,000 PC build here for you guys that I think keeps up with the big dogs and is great for 1080p and 1440p gaming. You can even throw in some content creating and streaming in there. And this system is just a beast for around $1,000. Now, huge shout out to MONTECH. I absolutely love them. They sent us out the X3 mesh right here. And then if you guys can see the MONTECH King 95 Pro we have over in the corner, both these cases were a blast to build in. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm giving this Minecraft themed PC to my girlfriend's little sister who is 11 years old. So if you guys want to stick around and watch that surprise video, make sure to subscribe and let's get straight into the build. So to start the build, we're going to break into the case here and check out what's going on. This is my first time building in the X3 mesh, and the first thing I notice is this 4-pin peripheral connector right here, which is the power connector for the fans. Which is pretty cool. So you will use your 4-pin peripheral connector that comes in your power supply kit to connect to that. And you usually don't see many of these peripheral connectors in PC builds anymore. But this is an amazing budget case right here at $53. So I'm okay with it. And let's move on to our motherboard here. We got the B550 Pro Wi-Fi, which is a super good motherboard. I absolutely love MSI, and on DDR4, I've never had any issues overclocking my RAM sticks. So we're gonna set our motherboard flat here and get out our CPU. I'm just gonna install the CPU first because for most people, this can be a pretty nerve-wracking part of the build, but I think it's pretty easy as long as you're gentle. We're gonna line up the corner as I showed you right here, the little corner right there, to the same corner arrow on the motherboard. So it's kind of funny. A lot of people get confused that you're placing your CPU in sideways with Ryzen, but this is how you are supposed to install it. So we're going to lift up our lever that locks the CPU in place, set it down nice and gently. Let me zoom in for you guys just so you can see that the fitment of the CPU is flush and that there's nothing obstructing it or causing it not to set completely flush in the motherboard. All right, and then we decided to go with Corsair Vengeance RAM sticks, which are super cheap, you guys. These RAM sticks have tons of good reviews. And not only that, I believe they seem to last quite a while too. So with our RAM stick here, as you can see, there is a little gap in the bottom where I flip the RAM stick around to line it up to these slots on the motherboard, and then we're going to use the second and fourth slot. So you are not using the first slot in the motherboard, you guys, second and fourth. And then also another tip is I always use two hands, and I make sure that I get a really stable press. So I'm pressing even, I listen for the clicks, and everything usually turns out fine when installing your RAM. Make sure both the sides clip down. That's another thing too. We're using RAM Kingston.
Again, I'll be putting
1 terabyte SSD here. It's NVMe 4.0 compatible, pretty dang fast for the price. And we're going to use our nice electronic screwdriver to take off the SSD cover here. This is going to take a minute, but that is totally fine. Now, you guys, when shopping for your SSDs, I always overshoot what I think I need to fill because it sucks running out of space in your gaming system and having to figure out, do I need another SSD? Should I get an external hard drive? Things can get super confusing when you run out of space. So I always try to overshoot what storage I think I'm going to need for my build. And then we're going to slide in the SSD. As you can see, it sets up right like this, and then you will lightly push it down. And that is how to install your SSD correctly. You guys, I absolutely love my electronic screwdriver. If you guys are doing a lot of PC builds, or you just kind of want to speed the process up of your PC build, definitely get an electronic screwdriver. This one I think is really safe. I actually got it off the TikTok shop, and it's not just too strong, so I never really worry about stripping bolts or over torquing them, so I love it. And then shout out to Arctic. They sent us out this Freezer 36 Argb, which is one of their newer air coolers, which I absolutely love. The packaging is super clean for this, and you get 2 of their fans, which I also think are very quiet, and I've used them quite a few times in builds here at Dream Build Computers, and they are just lovely. And the best part about these fans is there's no screwing needed. So they give you the correct orientation for intake and exhaust on your air cooler, and it's awesome that you get 2 fans that come with it. And then what you do is you flip the bolts over and snap them in, as you can see. So there's 4 little spots that the heads of the bolts will lock into. And I think this is a super cool mechanism that Arctic decided to go with. I think it really speeds up the process and will help you troubleshoot or fix anything wrong with your CPU or your mounting very, very easily, because they're easy to pop off even after you have installed your air cooler on your motherboard. Now, if you guys want to see reviews on this air cooler, I have not done thermal testing with it on the CPU, but we can do a future video with that, or you guys just go check out another video, because I think Arctic definitely makes some of the best coolers on the market for the best price. Now, what I'm showing you guys here is the power saving technology cables that you're going to be plugging in. So what I mean by power saving technology is that you don't need a controller. You can just daisy chain all your fans together, and this won't cause power issues and won't cause shorts or anything like that. Most modern fans actually have this power saving technology where you can link all the RGB and all the power connections together without the use of a controller, which again is amazing. Now, the next step of the build is going to be taking off the brackets where you're going to place the cooler. So these can be pretty tough, you guys. As you can see, I kept stripping, so I actually switched screwdrivers here to one with a larger head. For some reason, these bolts always seem to be a little tighter, and I have a larger head. So if you don't want to strip them, make sure to get a bigger Phillips head on your screwdriver. And then they will loosen right up. Also, make sure to have your motherboard laying flat on something so the back bracket does not fall out. And then that's where you'll be connecting your new brackets that will install.
Now, actually, I'd just like to do 2 at a time.
Your cooler,
so that you can hold your bracket.
Now, I have used these newer installation brackets from Arctic before, and the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3. We have a build with that on our channel. But what was weird is they didn't label them left and right on this one. But essentially, you want to have it flipped upside down, and across the top is the orientation for these. And we're going to get our standoffs right here, plop them on, and screw on each of our support brackets.
Here. Oops. Yes, so it is upside down, and I believe we got these long bolts, which are going to be what we use to screw in. Got one. Two. Let's do a little more zooming in so you guys can see a little better on the second one. Doesn't really matter which way these are flipped. As you can tell, they're pretty similar on each side. And as we set it on here, it's going to want to fall. So let's set our screws in. Make sure that doesn't happen. Thread them in a little bit with our fingers. we know we're not cross-threading. Screw them down.
Now we get a little wild with the thermal paste spread here, you guys. I know a lot of people are picky, like to do 3 dots or the X, but I really just like to spread the thermal paste over the CPU. If you have enough time for that, then I think that is the most efficient way to get an even spread and make sure you don't have any dead spots with thermal paste on your CPU. So we're just going to wipe this all around here. And I just put a piece of plastic over my finger just to make sure none of the oils from my finger get in the thermal paste and might degrade it any faster than it would. But yeah, the build is looking pretty good so far, you guys. So let's keep on rocking. Here I'm pointing out that this fan in front is going to be exhaust and the back fan is set as intake. So that way we have a nice
We're gonna leave
good
them.
airflow through the PC.
Now we're
And I'm
gonna
going to take off the fans for the installation here, which is going to make it
been a
easy
while
to
since
screw
I
in the bolts on
installed
the
an air
bottom.
cooler.
And air coolers are pretty dang easy to install. You just got to be careful not to tighten them too tight, and everything should go smoothly. Now, with this motherboard, you will have to use this back plate for all the I/O ports. Some don't come with it installed, and a lot of older Gen motherboards won't have it installed. And here are our antennas, and don't believe we need anything else from the box. We're just going to put all our old stuff in there just to keep it for safekeeping. We then used a 750 watt Corsair power supply, the RM750E, and I love Corsair's power supplies. They seem to last a long time for me. This might be overkill a little bit for how much wattage we need for this build, but that is totally fine. And now I'm going to walk you guys through all the power supply cables here that we need for this build. So starting out, I'm going to organize these cables, and this one actually here is our 4-pin peripheral cable. So I set that to the side because I know we're going to need it for the fans on the case. And here we're going to double check the edge here and make sure this is our CPU, and we're going to use the single pin in the PSU and single pin clip, and then as you can see the other end has a little double clip, and that side goes into your motherboard. Now we have our 24-pin motherboard power supply cable right here, and you can see there is a split connection on one end, and that is the side you are going to plug into your motherboard. Then we're going to plug in our 4-pin peripheral connector right here and use a SATA connection right on the power supply. Now we have a single 8-pin power supply cable for our GPU. Make sure it says PCIe on the side, and we're going to plug that in to the power supply also before we put this into the case. That way it is a little easier to plug them in, and it will be a little easier for our cable management. Now you guys can also take out the little external hard drive holder right on the left there to make the cable management easier, but I felt like we had a ton of room already, so I just left it in there, and it shouldn't obstruct any cables, or you shouldn't have to worry about it whether you leave it in or take it out. Just depends on if you have an external hard drive or not. And set our motherboard in nice. And here we have our motherboard screws included with the case, and we're going to quickly screw in all of these. Our audio and our USB headers out of the way. You can always double check with the pin placement on these. So the audio is actually going to be the far left. One. It's being finicky with me, y'all. There we go. And then next to that, we have our USB. Right next to it here without the top right pin. Or it is bottom right. There we go. And I'll get our USB plugged in here, right on the side.
click that in, and then we have our F panel, which without the top right pin, we're just gonna have 4 of these. Plug right in here. Which we have a little thing right up here that tells us how to power. Power's top 2. We have power LED. Just the top one. I'm going to zoom way in on this for you guys. We have a little chart up top right above here. Camera will focus. We have right here our little how to plug in and where for the LED, the power LEDs. And we have plus negative for these. Make sure that plus is first, negative is second. You can see right there, you guys, plus first, negative second. And top left 2 pins. And then the reset switch. Positive, negative. There we go. Our F panel should be all plugged in. Nice. All right, you guys, let's zoom on out. Let's go ahead and plug in our motherboard. 12-pin connector going in. Kaboom. There we go. Now, CPU, don't make us struggle. You're gonna go in nice and easy too. Nice. That clipped. That clipped. Now, this is for our GPU. We have everything else we need to be plugged in. We're going to flip this case around. We're going to plug in our power supply right here. And do the power. for our LED fans. Nice. That plugged in. On a 3060, you guys. It is dual fan 3060. Come here. Oh, so beautiful. Ta-da! Oh yeah. Give me a peel. Give me a peel. Oh, let me peel ya. Come here. Oh, I just want the peel. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. It looks like carbon fiber, baby. Mmm. Mmm, yum yum. Ooh, yum yum. I like. Asus, not the biggest fan, but good G. So we'll line up. A little divot on here. Pop this bad boy in. Click. We're in, babies. Wonderful. All right. Now let's plug in our GPU, both our PCIe cables. Line them up. Perfect. Come on, get in there. We're going this way. Nice. We are plugged in, y'all. We are plugged in. So yeah, we're gonna clean this up, definitely, but I think it's looking snazzy.
Alright, you guys, and there we have the finished build. We also added some awesome Minecraft stickers and a spinning Steve inside this PC. So I hope you guys really like the build video. We are gifting this PC to my girlfriend's little sister here very soon, and we'll be uploading that video also. So if you guys want to see that, make sure to subscribe, and feel free to comment or message me about anything you guys were confused in the build. I'll be very happy to help you out. And I think this build turned out looking freaking awesome. Again, I love MONTECH. They sponsored the case for this video, and also Arctic sponsored the cooler, so shout out to them, and you guys have a great day.